Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of First Timers Movie Club.
Ooh, spooky edition.
It is. It's an October Halloween themed edition.
Yes, welcome to our podcast, the podcast for movie lovers by movie makers. The podcast where we watch films for the first time ever and we talk about them.
Yeah, and sure, lots of fun trivia and jazz, so stay tuned. I don't know.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm Patrick Poe.
And I'm Lolo Loren.
And this is as good a time as any to remind you, if you're listening to this on YouTube or anywhere really, make sure you click subscribe.
Yes.
Any of your favorite podcast platforms, hit that button, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe. If you can comment, leave us a comment. Tell us what movies you'd like to see us do and tell us why you love listening to our podcast. There's tons of reasons.
Including just that it'll make both of us really happy.
Yes,
and
it would.
That should be reason enough for you.
And if you really love this podcast and you really want to support us and you want a bunch of exclusive episodes of this podcast, as well as access to exclusive content about our short films and our feature films.
Truth.
And the ability to view our feature films.
Yeah.
It's like having Amazon Prime, but better. You can go to patreon.com/IXFilmProductions to become a patron today.
Also, all that stuff he just mentioned, you can get by becoming just a $1 patron. So,
Yeah.
It's way cheaper than Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's better in that way, too.
$1 a month.
Yeah.
$12 for the full year.
And you get a bunch of shit.
There's at least 3 feature films on there.
Yeah. Also, there's about to be a really cool behind the scenes video on there for our new sketch that's about to come out.
Yes. So many cool things.
So if you see our new sketch, which will be coming out soon, and you're like, how did they do that? You're going to have to become a patron.
Well, we should probably wrap this up and get to the episode.
Yeah.
So what are we watching today, Lolo?
Oh my gosh. Today, we are watching the 1992 movie. I was going to say classic, and I was like, no. Death Becomes Her, which I have seen.
And I have not.
So I am so excited to watch this movie with you for a number of reasons.
I am too, but first we have a couple of things to clear up from our Ghostbusters episode.
With Sam Toddy.
Yes, which was an incredible episode. I was so glad to do it.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yes, it was. But we did get a couple of facts wrong and a couple of things that we just need to clear up a bit.
Okay, what would we do?
Well, so number one, we were talking about when those classic ghost comedies came out.
Yeah.
And you and Sam erroneously kind of joked.
We were throwing around some numbers.
Some numbers and some years. So I just want to let you guys know, Bob Hope's Ghost Breakers was 1940.
Okay.
Abbott and Costello's film was 1941.
Okay.
And The Ghost Chasers by the Bowery Boys was 1951. So it was actually 40s into the 50s. We also talked about the first time in 5 years, Ghostbusters was the top grossing film that wasn't.
Yeah, Lucas or Spielberg.
Yeah. And we threw out a lot of movies and guesses of what we thought they were.
What were the movies?
So I found the phrasing of Wikipedia interesting
Uh-huh.
because it said the first time in 5 years.
Yeah.
Which made me assume it was 5 top grossing and then Ghostbusters.
Uh-huh.
It's actually 4.
Oh, the 5th year was the year that broke it? This
Yes.
was only 4. Okay, what 4 movies was it then?
So it's 1980, Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Cool.
1982, E.T. In 1983, Return of the Jedi.
That's awesome.
And then 1984, Ghostbusters.
Thank you.
Those are the top 5 pictures in those 5 years.
For clearing that up.
We also, Sam threw out Close Encounters a couple times. As thinking that was in that list. That was 1977. So
Oh, okay.
a little bit before.
Okay.
Just a little. And Poltergeist was in that time, but it did not top 5 it. It was the same year as E.T.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Spielberg produced Poltergeist the same year he directed E.T.
Busy man.
I know. He's crazy. Sam also asked what Richard Edlund's company was called.
Yeah.
It was Boss Films.
All right.
Which Boss Films did die out, but Edlund continued to work, which is why I thought it was still around to today.
Gotcha. It's because Edlund kept working, but not as Boss Films.
Yeah, Boss Films died out. It looks like kind of after digital took over.
Okay.
So that's a kind of sad thing that died as the digital became powerful and almighty. The One Ring to rule them all.
Gotcha.
And in the darkness bind them.
Yeah.
We also discussed the history of the Visual Effects Award,
Yeah.
and Sam really wanted to know the answer.
Yeah.
So I hope he listens to this episode. That's why you kind of have to listen to every episode, even if you're on.
You got to get the trivia correction from the last one, and
Yeah, that's why you should subscribe, guys. That was a really good plug that I tied in there.
It was very smooth.
Lolo rolled her eyes at me.
I did.
So the history of the Visual Effects Academy Award
Yeah.
is super weird.
Okay.
At the first ever Academy Awards,
Yeah.
there was an award called the Best Engineering Effects Award that went to Wings.
Okay.
And that was in 1929. Then there was no award for effects until 1938. There was a Special Achievement Award for special effects given to a film called Spawn of the North. And then there was kind of this weird time where if a film had good enough effects, be that visual or audio even, they would kind of create a special category for it, like special achievement.
So they weren't like nominating films every year for that, just occasionally if there was one that was really fucking good, they're like, oh, we should like throw them a bone.
Yeah. So best special effects became a recognized category. Technically, it was that from 1938 to 63, both for visual and audio.
Okay.
In 1964, it officially became best special visual effects.
Okay.
But sometimes that award was still given as a special achievement award if there were no other films eligible to compete against it.
Oh, so if only one movie impressed them, they just gave
Special
it.
Achievement Award, because you can't nominate 5 films if there's only one film that really had visual effects worthy of an Oscar in their mind.
Yeah.
And there were so many things like the way that the voting is and the way that there's the nomination process. And if no films except for one film got nominated,
They just give it to it.
they would just call it a Special Achievement Award and give that film out.
That's so funny. Okay.
The award becomes consistent and competitive starting actually in 1991.
Whoa. Okay.
And that's when it became every year there were multiple films being nominated, qualifying.
There were enough that they decided to, okay, really, that's when the Academy deigned to recognize special effects films, because the 80s were full of special effects.
Yeah, and a lot of those great special effects films that you're thinking of got Best Special Effects Achievement Awards.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'm sure most of those years there was more than one film.
Probably. But if everyone nominates the same film.
Yeah.
And you have to have so much.
You're right.
To get nominated, you have to have so much of the nominated votes.
Yeah.
So, like, if there's one film that has 70% of the votes and the other films
ones aren't going to be up at all.
Break high enough, none of them become up.
Weird.
Because it's a tiered voting system.
Yeah. Okay.
So, if everyone recognizes Empire Strikes Back has the best visual effects, and there's nothing that's competing as Empire.
Gotcha.
Empire gets the Special Achievement Award.
So it wasn't until 91 that there was really enough competition in special effects year to year that they were like, all right, well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And really it was like between like 64 and 91, it seemed like almost every year
somebody got it.
A film an award of some kind.
Okay.
Almost.
It's just crazy because like nowadays, even movies you don't think have any special effects in them do.
Yeah. Well, that like kind of ties into talking about this episode.
Yeah.
But I have one other topic before we get into Death Becomes Her.
Okay, and then I want to talk about this movie.
I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
Okay, what?
But I have to tell you a thing that I've been wanting to tell you for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But didn't want to tell you off pod and forgot to tell you on the Ghostbusters episode.
Oh my gosh. You've been withholding information from me for weeks?
Yeah, I have. And it's been kind of hard.
Yeah.
And I was nervous that like you might figure it out because we have been watching a fuck ton of 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Like we kind of just watch it every night, just random episodes, and then we let it play till we fall asleep, and then the next day, whatever episode it stopped playing on, we just start from there.
Yeah.
It's been nonsense.
Yeah.
And we've restarted it a couple of times.
And we've actually seen it through a couple of times.
Yeah. But we've been watching it a lot recently.
We have.
Post starting the podcast.
Yes.
And this podcast completely changed my enjoyment of a single episode of 30 Rock.
Okay.
So there's an episode that 100% start to finish is a parody of one of the films you made me watch. So the first time we watched it, I was like, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But this second time watching it,
Uh-huh.
I was dying. Like, you were asleep and I was just dying laughing.
Which episode?
The episode where Tracy decides he's going to create the first good porn video game is 100% Amadeus. Like, literally, it's Amadeus. And what's the guy with the hat? What's his name?
Oh, Frank?
Frank, yeah. So Frank is like, you can't do it. It can't be done. And Tracy's like, I'm going to be the first one to do it. And then, like, Tracy can't write, so Frank has to, like, write it out for him as Tracy lays on the couch.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you're going too fast. You're too fast. And the doctor...
Yeah, I remember.
The doctor's running through the halls in this big billowy black cape for, like, no reason, but it kind of connects to a different plot. But, like, they're doing this whole Amadeus thing. And I was just dying because I was like, oh, my God. It's so cool that, like, these classic movies that, like, you'd never think are going to, like, really change things. But, like, having seen Amadeus made the enjoyment of this dumb comedy I love so much more fun even. I was dead. I was dead the whole time. And it was so great. And it kind of, like, yeah, just reminded me, like, how watching these other films, they do speak to other like,
Yeah.
all filmmaking comes from a history of this narrative art. And the more you know, the more you can appreciate other films. So
Yeah.
go watch movies, guys. Go watch Amadeus. Go watch 30 Rock. It's fucking hilarious.
I'm so glad you remembered to share that. I love everything about that.
Yeah, we should watch that episode again tonight.
We should, because I like vaguely remember it, but yeah, I didn't see it recently.
Yeah, no. And I was so glad, like, on that watch through recently, you didn't see it. And then this new watch through we're doing right now, I'm like, oh, I hope we don't see the Amadeus episode. And then Lolo, like, ruins this before I can tell her on the podcast. So that's all I had to talk about before we get to...
Are we on to this movie?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm so excited to do this movie, even though it wasn't originally part of our October lineup.
No, this was not the plan.
It was not.
We're going to get to kind of the culmination of the plan, which was we wanted to finish it out right near Halloween watching Scream.
Yes.
Because we kind of thought starting with Psycho, ending with Scream was kind of good bookends to the spoopy season.
Yeah, which we're still going to do Scream. Don't
Yes.
worry, guys.
Scream is coming.
Yes.
But two things happened. A is that the episode we wanted to come out this Friday has a special guest.
And we haven't gotten it scheduled yet.
And the scheduling has not worked for that special guest yet. It's gonna, and we're still gonna do that episode.
Yes, but we needed one recorded now.
And the first thought was we can just replace Scream to right now. But there's a new Blu-ray 4K release of Scream coming out.
Today.
Yes, as we record this episode right now. And it has a brand new special feature.
It does, which I wanted to see to have the newest information for you guys before we made the new episode.
So Scream has to be later because of that. And the guest has to be later. So then we wanted to do something else that was fun and Halloween-y.
Yeah, and Death Becomes Her has actually come up in conversation with other people recently.
Yeah.
Because, like, somebody mentioned it. I don't remember who or where, but somebody mentioned it within the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Once or twice in my presence.
Well, and talking about special effects, I just watched The Corridor Crew, who's an amazing YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yes.
I watched them discuss the special effects of Death Becomes Her.
Ah.
And there are some really cool effects in it that were pretty groundbreaking for its day and time.
You might have some info I don't, because I didn't watch that video.
Oh,
I did a lot of other prep, but...
It's wonderful.
That's awesome.
And, like, because this movie is pretty old. Like, it's what? Early...
It came out the year after the Oscars officially recognized.
So it's 92?
It's a 92 film.
Okay, so it's as old as we are.
Yes.
And digital effects are pretty new at this point.
Yes.
And there are some really beautiful digital and practical effects done in this film. There's some really good CGI.
Correct.
And so, like, I know those moments.
The big moments.
Yeah.
Have been spoiled.
But, like, I don't know much about this movie.
Cool.
I've kind of always wanted to see it. I think everybody that listens to the podcast knows I've worked at multiple video stores throughout my life.
Yep.
And I've always shelved it, especially during Halloween season. You get extra copies of the Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And I've always been like, man, that looks really fun. But somehow I've just never seen it.
Yeah.
Like, I love Bruce Willis. I love Meryl Streep. I don't remember who the third person that's the lead
Goldie
in it.
Hawn.
Fucking A, it's Goldie Hawn.
It's Goldie Hawn.
I love Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm expecting that I'm going to love this movie.
Yeah. So this is one that's been on your, like, list for forever and you just haven't gotten to.
I've just never gotten around to it. And, like, I probably wouldn't have. Which is a weird thing to say, even though, like, I want to. But there are so many movies I want to see.
I mean, we all have those movies that are always on the list, but like never make it to the number one spot to actually get put on the TV.
Yeah. And I think that's what this movie's kind of always been for me. Because it hasn't made it to the point where like I've bought it and then like sat around with it. Because there's a lot of movies on those shelves.
We have a lot of movies.
I have bought for the sole purpose of watching, and then they've kind of just sat on that shelf. So if you guys see one on the shelf in the photos, you can recommend them in the comments. Man, I'm doing really good at integrating these ads. But like, I've been excited and I've been intrigued, but like I've never really been around that many people talking about it or discussing it as much of like a thing as like a movie to go watch.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for today.
Yeah, but also like I feel like recently a couple people have mentioned it.
I mean, I mentioned it to you.
And then, yeah.
And
but
then
besides that, there was
somebody
someone else
in conversation.
And then also today, your father, when he heard we were doing it for the podcast, got really excited.
Yes, he did, which was weird to me.
Yeah.
Because he's never talked about it ever before today.
Yeah.
But then when he saw the DVD, he was like, oh my God, are you guys going to watch that or have you watched it? And we were like, yeah, we're watching it tonight. And he was like, that's so great. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how.
Right. Well, let's talk about it a little bit and then let's watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's 91.
92.
92. So Bruce Willis has already done Die Hard.
Yes. Bruce Willis has already done Die Hard and Die Hard 2.
Okay.
Bonfire of the Vanities, Hudson Hawk, and
I love Hudson Hawk.
Both 1 and 2 Look Who's Talking movies.
I feel like nobody appreciates Hudson Hawk like it should be appreciated. And like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not amazing. And I just remember it better than it is. Because I feel like I remember showing it to you early on in our dating.
Yeah.
And like doing that, you know, when you like love a movie and you show it to a person and you like, instead of watching it, you like stare at them.
We all have those movies.
I think I was doing that and I feel like I wasn't getting the reaction I wanted and I was a little disappointed.
I remember liking it. I think there was just a bit much pressure on me. I'd love to see it again.
I feel that way at this point. I'm like, am I putting too much pressure on myself to like Hudson Hawk?
But so that was where Bruce Willis was in his career.
Okay, so he's great.
He'd done a good chunk.
I'm so excited to see Bruce Willis do a comedy because I know Bruce Willis as fucking like Die Hard, badass, John McClane, yippee-ki-yay motherfucker.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what the fuck he does in a comedy.
Oh yeah, it's a thing.
And like Meryl Streep, like she's comedic, but she's not.
Yeah, but at this point, Meryl Streep had done stuff like Kramer versus Kramer, Sophie's Choice, Out of Africa, Postcards from the Edge. Like this is like
so she'd done all of
fucking incredible drama, Oscar-y Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
And she also took this role in this script because she said when she read the script, she laughed out loud. And it was so different and so original that she was just like,
do you think if we send her one of our scripts and she laughs out loud, she'll be in one of our movies?
We can try.
Let's start sending Meryl Streep scripts. Oh my God.
If it's too effects heavy, she might not want to do it.
Oh, does she not like the effects in this?
Because this is no, she loved them, but she spoke very positively of the film and the experience as a whole, except for like not. Well, this is the most effects focused movie Meryl Streep has ever done.
Wow.
This is one of the biggest, which if you think about her filmography, it's not, and it's because this movie, while she was like, yeah, it was fun, but it also just like wasn't her cup of tea, it sounds like.
Well, I can't wait to see Meryl Streep in the next Marvel movie.
She prefers, she just prefers to do like the shit you see her in mostly, you know?
Gotta do some serious
Not
Marvel green screen acting. I want it. Like, I mean, Spider-Man's coming out soon. She could be like the Madam Spider or whatever lady. That would be amazing.
She should be in the next Fast and Furious movie.
That would be great. Fast 10, and it's just Meryl Streep racing Helen Mirren.
Oh my God, I would die. I would love that so much. I
would watch the two of them shoot each other up all day. Hollywood, get on this.
Yeah, but so you have the two of them. But then you also have Goldie Hawn, who is
comedic genius.
Had done so many comedy films already at this point. I didn't write them down.
Is this pre or post Overboard? Just out of curiosity.
This is post Overboard, even.
I assumed.
Yeah. So she's done Laugh-In. She has done some more dramatic stuff like Sugarland Express and Private Benjamin at this point.
Sugarland Express. Nobody saw Lolo.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, we did because we like Steven Spielberg.
Okay, fine. It was a good movie, though.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
But like, I mean, she did that movie even though it was no budget because she wanted to try to show that she could be dramatic.
Yeah.
And Steven did that movie because he was a college student trying to prove he could direct a movie.
Don't know why you're shitting on me for mentioning that movie. It's one of her few dramas, and she had done that prior to this one.
I know, but like, I don't think in 1992 when people went to see this, they're like, oh, I thought Goldie Hawn from Sugarland Express.
It wasn't why I mentioned it. Okay. Yeah, she had done Seems Like Old Times, Overboard.
Have you heard of that new West Side Story
Bird on
movie?
a Wire.
Have you heard of the new West Side Story movie? It's actually directed by the same guy that did Duel. I don't know if you've heard of Duel, about the truck chase.
You know, the thing is, most of our friends would know what you were talking about.
Yeah, I know.
She also actually had House Sitter with Steve Martin, which is a great film. Came out same year as this one. So she had 2 big comedies in 92.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Oh, it's funny.
Okay, cool.
I like that one too.
Oh, great. You're like a big Goldie Hawn fan, aren't you?
I think she's incredible.
I mean, she's great.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that you were so Goldie Hawn centric.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of myself that way, but looking through her filmography, I was like, oh, yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, Laughing was fun.
I've actually never seen Laugh-In.
Oh, wow.
Like, I feel like I should see Laugh-In as like a comedy dude.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
Yeah.
They did a whole like new Netflix like special that was like a Laugh-In dedicated to Laugh-In thing, and Ron Funches is in it, and I really wanted to watch that, but I was like, that might be weird because I've never seen Laugh-In, so I don't get it. And then I went to a whole existential crisis about Laugh-In, and then I was like, am I even funny? Do I even know what comedy is? Are these jokes? What's a joke? I'm just gonna go home now.
Oh no. Yeah, so this movie.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the leads. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Really?
Yes, really.
Like the Robert Zemeckis, or just like some other guy named Robert Zemeckis?
Robert Zemeckis, director of Romancing the Stone, all of the Back to the Futures, which he also wrote the first one, Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Forrest Gump,
Contact,
Welcome to Marwin.
Yep, Castaway. Also the brand new 2020, The Witches with Anne Hathaway and...
That's so weird that this is Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
Which, when he...
I would not have thought Death Becomes Her was going to be the first Zemeckis movie we did on the podcast.
Yeah.
Have you seen Castaway?
I have not seen Castaway.
Me either.
Yeah, we should have somebody show it to us sometime. It's a big one. I feel like
a couple people have seen Castaway. It's got that up-and-comer Tom Hanks in it.
You think people have heard of Tom Hanks?
Don't know if you've heard of Thomas Hanks.
I feel like most people don't know him. He's pretty small.
Yeah, no.
Kind of like a Sugarland Express.
Yeah.
Sugarland Express, Tom Hanks. Nobody's heard of either.
Yeah, they're both as household names. That's that director too that did Sugarland Express. He's pretty obscure also.
Nobody's heard of that Steve Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Zemeckis.
So when he directed this movie, he was producing and doing a little directing, but mostly producing the TV show Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, okay.
Which he was, I guess, really into. And he was also into... I'm not familiar with Tales from the Crypt, so I can't weigh in on this.
Me either.
At all. But he was really into that, and a lot of people compare this film. They're like, it's basically an extended episode of Tales from the Crypt. He was very inspired by that show. So this movie was heavily influenced.
So he was
and
producing
bears a lot
it.
of tonal similarities, I guess, to his television show he was making.
And he was like, man, it'd be really fun if I just directed that with really good actors. With a real budget, because this is a TV show.
Yeah.
Which and he went off and did it.
He directed a couple episodes of the TV show.
Oh, did he?
But 3 of the 93 he produced. So
it's a very famous TV show.
I know. And
people came into all of the video stores I worked at, like all about Tales from the Crypt.
Okay.
They sell full DVD box sets. We're just not horror people, so like I was always just like, I guess that's a show I don't get into.
Yeah, but so he was...
I guess let's go get Tales from the Crypt and
He
Laugh-In.
made this while he was working on that, which he worked on that for a long time. Obviously, 93 episodes. I want to talk about the DP for just a second, too, before we get into this, because the DP was Dean Cundy.
DPs are directors of photography. It's the same title. It's a different title for the same job as cinematographer.
It's an interchangeable word.
Yeah, they are the person that's in charge of the entire camera and electrical departments, and they are in charge of the lighting and the setting up of each shot. So that's some info for the non-insane filmmakers, but like everybody knows that, so I don't know why I did this.
But so Dean Cundy, I don't always.
That name is close.
It's.
You've got to be careful.
I know. It's Cundey.
So careful.
I'll just call him Dean. So Dean.
You don't want to be Mr. Cundy?
I mean, I do. I love it. That's hilarious. Him and Zemeckis worked together a lot. So this guy did all the Back to the Future movies. He did Romancing the Stone. In addition to working with Zemeckis a lot, though, I just want to mention...
This is post Back to the Future, then?
This is post, I think, all 3 Back to the Futures.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm pretty sure. It's definitely post 1 and 2.
That's so weird. It seems so much older to me.
Oh, yeah. No.
In my brain.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, because the first Back to the Future was 85.
Yeah.
And this is a 92 movie.
Yeah. This movie also, like, in my head seems older than 92. But that's because, like, does Bruce Willis have a hairpiece in it then?
I don't have that information.
I feel like he has hair, though.
He does have hair.
And, like, Die Hard, he has hair, but it, like...
yeah.
It's really short.
Yeah.
And so in my head, he can just kind of be bald.
I dig that.
But in this, it's like, oh, Bruce, this must have been before Die Hard, but it's also not before Die Hard.
Nope.
So...
It's after Die Hard 1 and 2.
And, like, I haven't seen a lot of Meryl Streep movies where she's younger.
Yeah.
So, like, it's also, like, us young Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis with hair. And, like,
yeah.
The only Goldie Hawn I really know is Sugarland Express and Overboard.
Yeah.
So, like, that just places it in a old, like, it's just old. But
I dig that.
I guess this movie isn't that old.
Not really.
Okay.
It's newer than a lot of what we've been watching.
True.
Too. But so Dean, just in addition
Mr.
to
Cundy.
His work with Zemeckis, I just want to list a couple other things he's done.
The Cund Master.
Because this guy has been around, and some of it I feel is really relevant to... What?
Sorry, the term been around, just like because we were talking about Cundy and when you said been around, I was like, oh, his Cund has been around quite a bit, Lolo? Has Cundy?
I know, I was just trying to get this one fact out. I just want to watch the movie.
Am I bothering
I felt like
you?
if I encouraged you, the Cundy jokes would never end.
Sorry, am I being too Cundy over here?
Oh my god. Yes.
Continue, ma'am.
Well, this is a comedy, but it is a spooky comedy, you know, which is why we're doing it in October. But so, Mr. Dean Cundy, he was the DP for Halloween.
Like the Halloween?
The Halloween.
I don't know what that was. That's
78 Halloween.
Okay.
He also did Halloween 2.
So he's done some real spookies.
He's also worked with John Carpenter a couple times. Like he did The Fog and The Thing.
And Halloween 1 and 2.
And Halloween 1 and 2. Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to say he's done a lot of classic horror. I phrased all that poorly ordered words. Should I start that over?
No.
Okay, you're going to leave all that?
That's the podcast.
Okay. He also, which I only mentioned this because we've been talking about how we should maybe watch it. He also DP'd Psycho 2.
It's probably genius.
I mean, this guy's good. He also did Big Trouble in Little China, Hook. He went on to DP Jurassic Park right after Death Becomes Her.
Holy shit.
He also did Casper, Apollo 13, Flubber, a bunch of other stuff, but that's some of the biggest, most acclaimed movies he's done.
So something that you didn't mention about Mr. Cundy here is that beyond just being a DP that's done a lot of horror, he's also a very well-versed effects DP.
Mm-hmm.
Because The Fog, Jurassic Park, Death Becomes Her, Casper was actually innovative at the time Casper was made.
I believe that.
Like... Flubber's wildly innovative with its special effects.
Yeah.
Those are... Did I say Jurassic Park? Did he do Back to the Future too?
Yeah, he did all the Back to the Futures and Roger Rabbit.
Oh, and Roger Rabbit was groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Which that was with Zemeckis also.
Yeah.
If I didn't mention that earlier.
You did.
Yeah.
All of those are groundbreaking effects films.
Yeah.
And that just shows how good your effects can be when your DP understands how to shoot for these effects.
It sounds like also, which I think is a big part of it also. How many times can I say also? I was watching some interviews with that had talking heads from both Zemeckis and Cundy in them. And it, are you going to grin every time I say his name?
Probably.
Okay.
I'm a 12-year-old.
Well, and just people talking about the two of them and how he was so good at working with Zemeckis. And it sounds like probably also with Carpenter and Spielberg, and really good at just like understanding someone's vision.
Do you know
and
if
implementing
he
it.
did Forrest Gump? Because he worked with Zemeckis a bunch.
Don't think so. If he did, I didn't write it down.
Okay. Because Forrest Gump has some really, really impressive effects that you don't even think about. And I wonder if it's Cundy once again.
I don't believe it is.
Or if Zemeckis learned a lot from working with Cundy about how to film all of these effects.
Yeah.
In ways that make them work so beautifully.
Yeah. I mean, Zemeckis, has been doing...
Which he's also been doing.
Effects his whole career. He's been so effects heavy.
Because, like, that's what makes Forrest Gump, actually.
Yeah.
Is those little stitchings.
I mean, Forrest Gump, I'm pretty sure, was one of three of Zemeckis movies that have won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects, actually.
Oh, wow. Oh, is that part of... Is this one of them?
This is one of them.
This won a fucking Academy Award?
I just haven't gotten that far because we've been...
Oh my God, let's skip ahead. Let's jump into that. I want to be in that pool.
Yeah, at the Oscars for 92, so the 93 Oscars, it won the Academy Award for special effects, beating out Alien 3 and Batman Returns.
Whoa. So what I would say on that, though, is that Alien 3 has some pretty cool shit in it, actually. Yeah. And so does Batman Returns. But both of those films take place in a universe that's already been created, where Death Becomes Her has to create its own universe and its own verisimilitude.
It also, which I'll go ahead and just tell you because you've seen the big special effects. I won't talk about it a lot, but this was the first movie to ever CGI human skin.
Oh, wow.
This is the first time they'd ever tried to digitally create human skin to look natural.
Okay.
So that was a really big deal that they created that for this movie.
So we did not talk about the fact that it is 1992. What are the other big films?
Oh, yes. We got really distracted. The top grossing movies of 92, to place this in history for everyone, is Aladdin, was #1 that year.
Oh.
The Disney animated.
I love Aladdin.
Other big movies were The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Home Alone 2, Basic Instinct, Lethal Weapon 3, Batman Returns, A Few Good Men, Sister Act, Wayne's World, and Coppola's version of Dracula.
Okay.
That was the big films of 92.
Some great films I've seen and some great films I have not seen.
Yeah. A couple other films that I just want to mention because of us.
Okay.
These will be more other weird stuff like Sugarland Express. Not that weird, but... Well, other notable films of 92 that came out was El Mariachi.
Okay.
By
Robert
Rodriguez. And also Reservoir Dogs came out in 92.
Yeah.
By Tarantino.
This was the last year Sundance was big. No. Some people say this was the beginning of the end of like the whole like being able to blow up at Sundance.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's a whole political thing of the film industry that we don't really need to get into.
Some big Oscar movies because
like Clerks was 94. But
yeah. Some big Oscar movies because there was not really any overlap between the top grossing movies and the Oscar movies that year. Stuff that took awards was like Scent of a Woman, Unforgiven, and The Crying Game were all there.
I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, cool.
I just thought, I don't know. Those came out too.
We weren't really watching the award movies in utero in 1992, Lolo.
No.
Dang.
And movies I've seen since then are like Sister Act and Aladdin.
Aladdin and Batman Returns. And Lethal Weapon 3.
That's 92 though.
Okay. So it took home the Visual Effects Award though. Mm-hmm. Was it up for anything else? Or?
No.
Okay, I didn't assume so.
No.
Okay.
It also won the BAFTA and the Saturn Awards for Best Special Effects. Golden Globe nominated Meryl Streep, but she didn't win.
Really?
And that's it. That's all it got.
Because they're comedic actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool though.
Yeah, so that's that kind of attention this movie got.
Okay.
So this is I think I'll save this for after.
Okay.
never mind. That
Great. Is that how we get into the movie? Is you telling me you won't tell me anything more? You're going to look
I
up
think
your notes?
so.
Yeah. Okay, great.
I think that's all I want to talk about before the movie. I think the rest of my trivia is spoilery.
We've had so many guests that
And
you
I
just like
must
don't even remember how
save
to
it
host this podcast anymore.
After. Well, no. I do have. I have one more thing I want to say before we watch it.
Okay.
One more.
Okay,
I almost forgot. I don't know if it's actually relevant.
That'll make it better. This'll edit better now. I'm glad. I'm glad you figured out another thing.
I don't know if this is actually relevant to what we're about to watch or not, but I think it is.
Okay.
So
There's the best facts.
according to the internet, there has been some controversy over the DVD release that came out in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Which we're about to watch a DVD we got from the library, not the Blu-ray that came out later. So
Does it have the whole movie?
No. So I'm guessing we're about to watch
Okay.
the thing there's controversy over. Due to the quality of the transfer, that DVD release is considered appallingly bad.
What?
It has
Why?
excessive grain, blur, and muted colors compared to the original movie and the subsequent Blu-ray release.
Huh.
It's speculated it's because it was taken from the Laserdisc edition of the film, not from, like,
Interesting.
the film.
An actual film transfer.
Yeah, and so it made for a low-quality transfer that people were then demanding restoration. And I do know a Blu-ray came out after the DVD, so I wonder if that's better. I don't have that information.
Wow.
But so if this movie has a lot of grain
So
or
if
muted,
it looks bad, you're saying.
it's the early 2000s DVD release, which I suspect is what we might be about to watch from the library, was a poor transfer.
That's so
fortunately.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me know that, just in
Yeah.
case that's what we watch.
I did learn that today, a little too late to get our hands on a Blu-ray for this screening, but just keep that in mind.
Oh, I feel so opposite of spoiled. I'm sure there's a good word that's just like concise and would say that, but opposite of spoiled is what I'm going with.
Okay, cool. Love it.
All right. Well, are we there?
That's it. I'm fully, yeah, we can actually watch the movie now that might be lower quality than what you would have seen in theaters.
All right. So is that it?
That is it.
All right. Well, this is Death Becomes Her.
Yeah. All right. You have now seen Death Becomes Her.
That was truly one of the like wackiest movies. Like that's the only word. Wacky is the only word you can use to describe what the fuck I just witnessed.
I would agree that wacky is an excellent word.
Is that an adjective?
Sure.
Isn't that an adjective?
Yeah.
Because it's a describing word.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the perfect adjective for this film. Wacky.
I would agree.
So, what I know previous to seeing the film is I'd seen just the shotgun through the belly special effect.
Yep.
And the shovel to the face where her head falls back and then falls back forward.
Gotcha.
That's all I knew.
Okay.
I didn't know if they were ghosts.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were witches. I knew literally
Nothing except for those two imageries.
Bruce Willis, two famous ladies, both don't die when you kill them. All I knew.
All right.
I did not expect any of the movie we just saw.
Yeah, that makes sense. You didn't expect it to open with a musical.
Yeah. So much.
Yeah.
So I have so many thoughts. I'm not even sure where to start.
Okay. Do you need a minute? Should I share some trivia while you collect yourself, or do you want to just dive into them?
No, I can just start going at random shit.
Okay.
So first off, this is definitely the 2000 version of this DVD.
We did just watch the very bad DVD transfer. Yes.
Because, yeah, it is a 4:3, so it's a square.
Yep.
Pan and scan.
Yep.
Which, I don't know if you know what that means. So, like, when they made VHS movies, they made them for square TVs, but movie theaters aren't square, they're rectangles. So what they did is they would crop in, and then they would pan over to wherever the action was in the frame.
Across the footage,
so that all of the frame would fit within the middle square, so that when you saw the movie, everything fit in the middle square, even though most of the time it's in one of the corner thirds.
Yeah.
So we watched the pan and scan version of this movie.
Yeah, so you didn't get to see the full grasp of the cinematography, but you got the idea.
Yeah. So you don't get the beautiful wides.
Yeah.
Everything's a little closer. Everything is a weird
You're
square.
losing information on the sides.
Yeah. It's like Justice League, the Snyder Cut, except it wasn't planned to be, where that movie was planned to be a square.
Yes.
So that's not really that distracting to me, though, because, like, I've watched full screen movies a lot in my life. That was just a thing I wanted to mention.
Yes. So I'm glad I remembered to warn you that I thought this might be the weird transfer. But yeah.
Then it opens with Meryl Streep singing.
Yep.
Is that Meryl Streep singing?
I believe so.
Interesting. I did not know Meryl Streep could sing. Like, she's very good if that's her singing.
As far as I know, I haven't confirmed that, but...
Okay. She's a very good singer.
Yeah. I do know when she was cast. Well, first she was sent the script, and like I mentioned earlier, she thought it was so original and wacky. I don't think she used that word, but that's what she said.
The only word
spirit.
you can use.
And she said she immediately said yes. She was so excited. And then a week later, she found out that they wanted her for the role she plays and not the role of Helen. She thought they wanted her for Goldie Hawn's role, and said she was terrified to learn they wanted her for the other one because she would have to dance and sing.
She does a great job.
But she was great. She was great. Also, it's like a brief moment at the beginning, and she's incredible. But I just thought that was funny that she said she was terrified when she learned they wanted her for a different role than the one she thought she was saying yes to.
It's a lot of pressure to open a movie with a musical number done by you if you're not a singer and a dancer.
Yeah.
For a movie that's not a musical.
That's true. But at least it's not supposed to be a performance anyone likes.
Exactly. It's played for comedy.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people that are like, blah, 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 hate this. And then Bruce Willis is like, yes.
Yeah.
And
but
he's like
still,
eating it
yeah.
up. And so it
would
works,
be terrifying.
no
But
matter
yeah,
what.
yeah. But she's Meryl Streep, so she does everything perfectly. So.
But that was wild.
Yes.
And then she's like salaciously hitting on Bruce Willis and like taking her top off. And then I was like, holy shit, there's a hot version of Meryl Streep. And that was really confusing my brain.
Gotcha.
Because like I said, she's kind of just an old lady in my, like an old lady I love.
Yeah.
But she's always been an old lady in my head because since this was 92 and
yeah.
She was like, what, 40 when they filmed this?
Meryl Streep was 43 when they made this, and Goldie Hawn was 46. They're both playing up to 50.
Okay, so they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
I am not born yet.
Yes.
Or I am a couple months old when this came out, depending on what time of 92 it came out. So by the time I'm aware of Meryl Streep, I'm probably either a tween or a teen.
Yeah.
So at this point, Meryl Streep is in her 50s.
Yeah.
So Meryl Streep is an old lady my entire life. Not saying that 50-year-old people are old
but
ladies.
new movies coming out. I mean, when you're a tween, 50 is old.
Exactly.
Comparatively.
So that's Meryl Streep in my head.
Sure.
So then seeing a movie where she's like being like sensual and sensual, sexual, sex was weird.
Gotcha.
And if you didn't get that, you have not seen Death Becomes Her. That little moment of us. Yeah.
Flaccid.
And then, so yeah. So there's hot Meryl Streep.
Yep.
And that was strange to see. And I was like, okay. And then this movie is so weird.
Yes.
It's honestly a horror film where the antagonist is aging.
Yes.
And the protagonist is the very unlikable Meryl Streep.
Or Bruce Willis.
And the very unlikable Goldie Hawn.
Yes.
And there's also the pretty unlikable Bruce Willis.
Correct.
And the antagonist is people getting old, and all the jokes are based on vanity and or this very strange sexual thing. And it's very obsessed with like self-image, which is kind of the joke of it. It's very like, it's this like riff on like Hollywood idealism
Yeah.
at its heart, but it's in this really strange package, and it's so wacky. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And there's no likable main character.
No.
But there's a bunch of these weird sex jokes and a bunch of weird body image jokes.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of makes almost a movie. And it's almost got a plot,
Yeah.
but it kind of has to meander because there isn't a like real antagonist, protagonist.
No.
It is fucking strange.
Yes.
But yeah, like, because she's unlikable because she's obsessed with her body image.
Yeah. Well,
And-
they're all bad people.
Yeah. And like Goldie Hawn's trying to murder her the whole movie
Yep.
because she's a psychopath.
Yes.
And then Bruce Willis is just like,
He's just kind of along for the ride and just like
he's like barely in this
cheater
movie.
and- yeah.
He's not really a cheater. He left
I guess
her
he left.
for
You're
the
right. He
other
didn't
woman.
cheat. He just left her.
But like that makes him like oddly unlikable immediately.
Yeah.
And then he's like not in a lot of this movie, except as like, he's kind of your like audience in the film to like ground all of the weirdness.
Yeah. He's
So-
the one who doesn't know what's going on, so you can like.
Yeah. He's like the Sigourney Weaver of Ghostbusters, or he's the Margaret Dumas, or however you say her name,
Yeah.
of the Marx Brothers movie. And like the two of them are the Marx Brothers. But in the weirdest script.
Yes.
But also it's 1992, and some of the like the effects are breathtaking.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were mind-blowing.
Well, yeah. Especially like thinking about like that is the first time they ever CGI'd skin,
Yeah.
and they do it so much.
Very little actually.
Well, okay. Like her neck skin, they do multiple times.
They do her neck like
that's the
3 times,
big-
and that's really
It's her neck, but it's so
It.
good. Yeah, you're right.
and
But
it's-
just like they show it a lot and they stay on it a lot for it being this like new risky like hope we can pull this off because we're planning to like she's saying like it's not an easily cut around. If this doesn't work, you can't cut out seeing her neck.
yeah.
Like this was like all in when they shot it, having to pull off this brand new thing, which I just think is
But like they did it in a really smart way in that a lot of it's practical.
yes.
They left a lot of her body, and then they just mask off her head,
Yep.
and then they just like kind of paint in a little bit of neck.
Yes.
And that's really all that's happening is they're painting in a bit
True.
of
Well,
neck,
and she does the stretch and the
which
sink.
once again is just like
Yeah.
a paint in, and then you just mask her head up, and you paint in more skin, and you paint like,
Yeah.
and you paint it out. So like, it's at this point today, 2020, 2021, it's not that hard
Well, yeah.
of a do, but at the time, figuring all that out
Yeah.
is a huge thing, and seeing that for the first time, I'm sure was amazing.
Yeah.
And what's really amazing, in my opinion, is what is actually like a robot puppet with the hole in the center.
Oh.
And then they just
Yeah.
face replace her face onto it, is how that is done, actually.
Oh, really?
When she comes out of the water,
Really?
that is a robot puppet with a face replaced Goldie Hawn that you only see for a couple seconds as it comes out of the water. But then when it's just the frame of it and it moves and the water pours out of it,
Yeah.
that's a full puppet with water actually pouring out of it.
That makes sense. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I know Zemeckis, I was watching an interview talking about how that shot, or I don't know if he meant shot or moment of Goldie Hawn getting out of the water and seeing them through her stomach. He said shot, though. Took an entire day just to get that moment.
I believe it.
They were using similar, like they kind of pioneered on Star Wars. They had computerized cameras so that they could repeat movements to get plates as well to really make sure they had it, and to have Goldie Hawn in a lot of it. I know they had dolls too, like you were saying, but Goldie Hawn and then them, and then really so that they could plate everywhere they needed. He was like, that was a full day just to get the shot through the stomach.
I believe that. But yeah, I've seen the behind the scenes like footage of it. It looks crazy and almost terrifying Terminator-y.
Yeah.
But because it's like just a torso with arms and then like some like robot-y like puppet appendages at the bottom.
Scary. On the face replacement too, I know Jurassic Park, which came out the year after this, and which the DP did, the same DP, right?
Yeah.
That was
Cundy,
yes. Jurassic Park.
Cuddy?
Cundy.
Got it.
Was the Jurassic Park was the first time they ever used face replace technology onto a stunt double.
Oh, really?
Which I didn't know they used face replace in this, because what I was reading had Jurassic Park credited as the first face replacement ever, built on the skin technology and stuff, and everything done in this movie.
Well,
so I guess
like, technically it's not a face replace because they're not
they
putting a face over a face.
Okay, well, but
they're putting a face over nothing.
Okay, you're right. Well, then Jurassic Park was the first face replace onto a stunt double that came out the year after this movie did the face onto the dummy then.
Do you know what shot? I want to know what shot.
I read it, but I haven't seen Jurassic Park enough to instantly. One of the female child.
Oh, okay.
There's a moment where she falls from somewhere to somewhere, and it's a stunt person.
Okay.
And they put her face on it digitally.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so crazy seeing how good the face replaces look and how your brain just accepts it.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I loved that this movie happened, and then that was the first time they were like, they put it on a stunt person, was Jurassic Park the year after this.
They do it all the time in modern movies.
Oh,
just
constantly.
FYI.
Yeah.
To everyone listening.
I've seen some of the footage of like the Marvel movies, the face replace onto, you're seeing 6 different stunt people in a row doing their specialty, and it's all got Scarlett Johansson's face on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And yeah, the effects were incredible. But like the script is so weird.
Yeah.
And so strange. And I'm not sure if it passes the Bechdel test at all.
Oh, probably not. I feel like this might be weird. I feel like so the Bechdel test, though, should probably explain to our listeners, is a test you can apply to a film. To pass the Bechdel test, you have to have a scene where 2 females are speaking to each other in a scene, and they are not speaking about a man.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking that it might not pass until the last scene where they're just fighting about who misplaced the paint. And I was like, oh, I guess that scene technically isn't about a man.
Yeah, we're talking about painting each other's asses in the scene like right before that.
But that scene's just because he's gone.
That's true. I also feel like, this might be dumb and not how the film was intentioned, but I feel like it could play this way too, though, because of everything the film is a satire of. I think that's like part of it. It like shouldn't pass the Bechdel test, because that would defeat the point of these characters.
I totally agree. Because the whole thing is this vapid, shallow, like joke like on catty. Hollywood.
Yeah, joke on Hollywood, but also like,
and on vanity.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, because I feel like it's not even making fun of women. It's making fun of the culture we've created and live in.
Yeah.
It's very just like, the world sucks.
Yeah.
In this weird, like, look at how ridiculous the world is. It's so fucking stupid.
Yes. It's super strange. And like, there's something weird about like watching it.
Yeah.
And talking about face replace.
Yeah.
That I was watching it. And for some reason, while I was watching it, I had this thought and I was like, this is the weirdest thought ever. But it like fits in our current culture of remakes.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it, I was like, oh man, if they made this movie today, first off, I don't know if it would be like, if you made a remake of Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
Not, or if this was the first time Death Becomes Her ever existed, honestly, in like 2022, this movie comes out. There wouldn't be the groundbreaking effects to carry it.
Yeah.
So you'd see the movie and you'd be like, yep, seen those effects before.
Yeah.
And then B, what I think would almost ruin the film is today they would face replace and or deep fake all the people at that party.
Yeah.
To the point that it becomes so distracting and you would lose the story.
Yeah.
You would start just looking for like who's going to pop up in the background.
Yeah.
And like I liked that like it was just like little things like seeing Andy Warhol and apparently said Marilyn Monroe, but I was looking at Andy Warhol and laughing.
Yeah.
And then like they showed Elvis and the James Dean.
Yeah.
And they're really quick and they're really subtle and it's just like, and I bet they were trying to make some sort of joke in whoever they saw at the pool, but I didn't get that joke. I didn't get that reference.
I do know because I was reading a list. They didn't. There's very subtle because they didn't feature a lot of them. There were a fuck ton more famous people impersonated at that party than they show close-ups even.
Yeah.
They had a lot of them just like in the room, which is cool.
Kind of perfect. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And like I was watching people talk about the newest Space Jam, which I have not seen.
Yeah, me neither.
And they kind of mentioned Ready Player One as well. In movies that have those aspects of reference and all those different IP, intellectual property, like kind of little Easter egg call outs. The problem is your brain starts just looking in the background, scanning it for those things.
And you stop paying attention to...
And you lose the foreground. You lose what's happening in the action of the piece. Because your brain's just like, oh, who do I see back there?
That makes sense.
Who might I run into? But this film did it really well in the sense of they purposely pointed out a couple.
Yeah.
So that you can have those little laughs.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of people in the room apparently.
Yeah.
That were to be in the place of these people, but they weren't doing what today we would do. We would just deep fake the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Or we would face replace the fuck out of it to the point that you were just looking at all these face replaces.
Yeah.
And seeing if they were good enough.
Yeah.
So like that was something I think the film did really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Amidst a film that's like completely just wacky as fuck.
Oh, it's chaos.
It's so like this is pure 90s camp.
Oh, it's absolute chaos. But it's also like kind of fun and like I like what it's poking fun at and what it is like.
Yeah.
So a thing that I found funny, because I watched a good handful of interviews before watching this movie, obviously. And this isn't like related to the filmmaking. I've got some other cool filmmaking trivia. But one thing that I just like, I was like, you like watched the movie, but you didn't watch the movie. The interviewers was because like, I mean, I feel like if you've seen this movie, you should get what it's about, even amidst the chaos. It's like, I don't know. But so I saw both Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn in separate interviews be asked if they would ever get plastic surgery or have thought about getting plastic surgery, and just being asked questions about like their own desires to not age and be pretty. And I saw Goldie Hawn be asked about if she's scared of getting fat and if that was just really horrible to wear the fat suit. And I was just like, okay, so like the point of this film just went right over these interviewers' heads because they're asking these horrible questions that are right in line with what this film is being like. Look how fucked up society is.
Because the point is like society is obsessed with image and aging and weight and all of these things, and they're forcing women to be obsessed with it to the point that they're willing to take this mystical potion and then kill Bruce Willis
for forever. And then you've even got the scene at the end where he's like the only one who had a good life and will live for, they're like kind of hitting you over the head with the message at the end there at the funeral, but like
they do.
Evidently not enough because these interviewers didn't get it because they were still like, do you think you'd get plastic surgery? Are you worried you're aging too much at 43?
Well, you have to remember, this is the 90s.
Yeah.
This is the same time when like all of the like Britney interviews that you see in like the Save Britney docs and stuff happen, where they're like saying crazy sexual things to a teenager.
Yeah.
And like all of and like the Paris Hilton thing, and because that doc's about to come or just came out that I have not watched yet, but like the way that we treated women in the 90s, especially on talk shows, was just,
I mean, I've seen clips, unfortunately. I know what you're talking about, but it was crazy to watch them being interviewed, especially for this movie.
Yeah.
And them just still asking these insensitive questions. Also, Siskel and Ebert. I watched a video of them talking about this movie.
Uh-huh.
That like, so half of what they were saying was kind of true because this movie is chaos and wacky and like out there and kind of meandering and weird and whatever. And the characters are all unlikable, but that's the point. They're supposed to be unlikable.
Yeah, but it doesn't make for a great film.
Yes. But one of the things they said, just like, I was like, well, fuck off. Because one of them, and I can't tell them apart. I don't know what the fuck they look like, but one of them.
They're kind of like the Muppet guys where they're both the same guy.
Oh, no, wait for this. No, because one of them, I watched him say it. It's not going to be verbatim, but he said something about like, and like, did we really need this? Like, we get it. Some women in Hollywood feel pressure to look good. And then they like carried on with the conversation. I was like, all right, you don't get it. You two older, fat white men sitting here criticizing the movie about women feeling pressure to look good and saying it's bad because like, did we know this? Like, whatever. I was like, oh, wow.
It is.
Okay.
It's like, this is kind of a strange thought about it, though. It is kind of weird because it's a movie about like kind of the pressure of the male gaze upon women and what it like does to women.
Yeah.
But it is a movie that is directed by a man, cinematographer's a man, it's written by two men.
It is.
Like I almost want the female remake. Like not in the sense of I want like it to be two dudes and Bruce Willis's character to be a woman. I want a female writer to rewrite this film.
Yeah.
And a female director to direct this film from a more female point of view.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it would have a lot more relatability. But for what it was even, like it was, they did like,
yeah,
they did a good job.
I don't know what female director in 92, like the only one was
Penny Marshall.
That's who I was thinking. Yeah.
A League of Their Own came out in 92. Like,
I was going to say, yeah, it's like a League of that's the only female director, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, there weren't like we still barely.
And most of her movies are still about like it's like big, like they're about guys. Like
yeah. We still it's still a very small percentage of the industry. So yeah, in 92.
So what we're pitching right now is me and Lolo are going to rewrite Death Becomes Her, and we're going to make the female So Hollywood, if you're listening, because Hollywood's a single person, and I assume that person called Hollywood listens to our podcast.
Let us remake this movie.
Yeah.
That would be a blast, actually. Really lean even more into the comedy and like give it a bit more distinctive a narrative.
Give it a plot.
Because I love what they did, but yeah, I'd give it a plot. So, okay.
Give it a plot. Make it funnier.
So on the topic of plot.
Yeah.
This is not the ending that was shown to test audiences at all.
Oh, really?
They showed it, which I will read you a description of the original ending, but I could not find, there does not seem to be existing video of it. So yeah, they had a completely different cut that they showed to test audiences, and audiences hated it.
Okay.
It got terrible reviews.
And this is what tested better?
And so then they went back and shot a completely new ending, and I think then just released it.
Okay, great.
And then it did do well at the box office. It like tripled its money, and it was like...
What was the original?
So according to the internet,
okay,
best I can gather, the actress Tracy Ullman was originally in the movie and was cut out completely.
Oh, wow.
She played Tony.
Okay.
So the original ending was overall different from the theatrical version. It involves Tracy Ullman's character Tony helping Ernest in a ruse of faking his own death in order to get away from Madeline, Helen, and Liesel. Originally, she was like another love interest for Ernest.
Okay.
It sounds like. The plan works. So then Ernest and Tony end up running away to Europe to start a new life together. Many years later, Madeline and Helen, both parodies of their former selves, with cracked peeling paint and putty covering most of their gray and rotting flesh, are on vacation in Switzerland. Yet they are completely bored and miserable. They notice an elderly couple being affectionate, and they become envious of them. As the couple gets into a car and drives away, Madeline and Helen realize it's Ernest and Tony and chase after them, only to be hit by an oncoming car and break into pieces similar to the theatrical ending.
This one's better. It's also weird and strange and really hits you over the head with the message of the movie, but this one's better.
Yeah, that's how Meryl Streep felt about it in interviews too.
So this is one of those movies that you watch the movie, and while the movie's happening, you just think, how are they going to end this?
Oh yeah, I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, how the fuck does it end?
Like, because there are so many times throughout the movie where you're just like, okay, but there's no way to end. Like, there's no way to end this movie.
No.
There's no like point that you're like, oh, that's a conclusion of a story.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have a distinct enough 3-act plot with Rising and motivation.
Yes.
If you don't have a driving force, you have nowhere to go, or you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, it is funny though, because there are like little things that are done well that still seem strange. Because like we were joking while we were watching it, like when he throws the knife and it hits the switch perfectly.
Yeah.
That's actually foreshadowed in the plot, in the sense that he's trying to throw the scalpels, but his hands are shaky because he's drinking.
Yeah.
But then by that point, he's quit drinking and he's now able to throw the knife. But like, and that's good filmmaking.
Yeah.
But the film is so meandery that by the time you get to him throwing the knife, it seems so out of character for Ernest. And then you have to remember, like, oh no, I guess they did forward that. Instead of it just feeling like, oh yeah, they did do that. That's kind of cute.
You also have to think, which I don't know. I know there were a lot of deleted scenes. I know a lot was cut out of this movie. And so with you talking about Bruce Willis barely being in it, knowing that he had a subplot with an actress who was completely cut from the film, I have to assume Bruce Willis had a lot more screen time before they cut out all those scenes and changed the ending.
Yeah, it's also weird because like Bruce Willis has very little character. His character is pretty humorous.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting, and I even wrote it down because this is a perfect thing to talk about in the movie that's about looks and image and all that kind of stuff. Bruce Willis's character of Ernest in this movie just proves how important clothes can be. Because like you put him in the ill-fitting suit and you change his hair a bit, you give him the glasses, and he's nerdy, unsexual Ernest.
Yep.
You shave off the mustache, you take off the glasses, and you put him in a tank top, and he's sexy John McClintock. John, what is it, Lolo?
I don't know.
John McClane.
John McClane.
You take off the glasses, shave off the beard, and you take off the shirt, and he's just in the wife beater. He's sexy John McClane, like fighting people on a tower. And then this movie got weird because like he's Ernest the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it was like, well, yeah, but we did cast Bruce Willis. So we do need to do the action star couple of beats here.
Yeah.
And as he's running through the party, you're like, what the... Did the movie just turn into a different movie?
Yeah. And
it kind of does. And it turns into this like weird like reverse heist where he's just trying to get out of a place.
Yeah.
The heist trying to get in usually. It's a prison escape film, except not in a prison. It's a weird movie.
Yes.
But then he's like doing all these like fucking John, you're ready for him to take off the shirt and you're like, is he gonna get into the tank top? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then it's so weird at the end there.
I do. So as like you were saying with the forwarding, him being able to throw the scalpel when he's sober, like, yeah, it's chaos, but there are those like there is some stuff that's real. Like I love the fact that these two gorgeous women obsessed with being gorgeous are fighting over a distinctly unattractive, undesirable man is what they've made Bruce Willis into in this film.
Yes.
Because that also is so just like perfect in Hollywood, and men can age, and like it's a great element too. And it's so nonsense.
Except that's not how the film does that beat, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Because in the opening scenes, Goldie Hawn is mousy and quiet and unself-assured and like very afraid of the world.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis and her kind of are matched in level.
Yeah.
But then the reason Meryl Streep's character loves Bruce Willis is because of his skill at a thing that she can use him for. So she steals him for the thing she can use him for.
And because Helen has him.
And because Helen has him, you learn later.
Yeah.
And then uses him.
True.
And then Helen's a crazy person.
Yeah.
And goes psychotically insane to the point she's actually put into a mental institution and then becomes hot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not two good-looking women that are obsessed with a guy because of just like society told them they should be obsessed with this guy. They have their own weird, insane motivations.
Well, yeah, but like, yeah.
So I don't know if the script did what you're saying it did, but if you got that from it, I'm glad you did.
I just meant that like as time goes on and they're like, and he's just, and it's still just like,
yeah, this
fine
point,
for, yeah.
This is now the like family 3 generations fighting over the land that they don't remember why they're fighting over it. You know, like it's the McCoys and the whatever, Hatfield and the McCoys. Like,
yes.
we're like, why the fuck are we killing each other? I don't know. Grandpa said so. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it becomes.
Well, yeah.
But it's so weird.
It
This
is.
movie's so weird. This is definitely one of the weirder things we've watched for this podcast.
It definitely is. It definitely is that.
I've got one more thing, and then you can give me some trivia.
Okay, cool. I
just want to talk about, there was one line where I didn't get the joke, and I could tell I didn't get the joke, and you were like, it's Greta Garbo. And I want you to explain that.
Oh.
She says that she had one client that said, I want to be alone.
Yeah.
And she's like, she is? And she's like, she is. And I was like, who? And you're like, Greta Garbo. So explain it.
I'm like 90% certain it's Greta Garbo who said, I want to be left alone, famously. She was a very, very famous actress. And that was just like a thing she supposedly said. Like, it's like there isn't really much more to it than that.
Oh, Greta Garbo, I want to be alone. If you Google it, it starts to pop up. The most famous quip attributed to Greta Garbo is the short and sardonic, I want to be alone. But the actress who made a practice of shutting reporters, premieres, and fan mail claimed that she had been misquoted. I never said I want to be alone, she explained, according to a 1955 piece in Life magazine. But yeah, it's some sort of...
It's one of those things attributed to, yeah.
And she did just like quit acting, apparently, after a contract dispute with MGM. She retired at like the height of her successes.
Because she'd had 10 years.
Because she wants to be alone. Yeah. The I want to be alone quote, Greta Garbo forever. Yeah, okay, cool. Apparently it's Greta Garbo thing.
Yep.
Look at you, knowing stuff. Hit me with some trivia.
Well, so I want to talk about, I know we've talked about the effects a lot, but that is like the main reason that's the reason this movie is like
100%
a thing.
Yep.
So I want to talk about the scene where she's walking around with her head backwards.
Yeah.
Because you were positing some guesses about it.
Yeah, I think I know how they did it.
And I just wanted to talk about that scene. Do you want me to tell you or do you want to?
I'll say how I think I did it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I think it's 3 shots, probably.
Okay.
It's a plate of the room with no actors. It's the person, probably Meryl Streep, doing all of the acting backwards, either in the room or on a green screen. I'm not sure. And then I think it's probably just a green screen of Meryl Streep's head doing everything forwards. And then they've composited them all together, and then the neck is built CG. Except in the over-the-shoulder shots, I think that is a built puppet or makeup effect that they're able to put onto either a person or a thing that just stands there so that they can have those photoreal shots over the shoulder when you're looking at Bruce Willis, because that doesn't look CG at all or composite at all. It looks actually filmed, and then the other stuff you can see the compositing edges.
So pretty much, yeah. You know your effects. There's actually really awesome behind the scenes footage you can watch.
Oh, is there?
There is. So the body walking around is in the room.
Okay.
They probably shot plates too because they needed to work around the head. But that was actually Meryl Streep.
Got it.
There's great footage you can watch of Meryl Streep spending a whole day with a blue sack over her head.
Got it.
Walking around acting backwards downstairs over to the phone. Like, she's doing the whole scene.
But see, the reason they need that background plate is because they need to fill in where her nose and her other pieces point out when they're going to put her hair there.
Yeah.
And then they've got to fill, because they've got to fill
Anywhere
areas
that the head doesn't cover.
to paint it back in.
Yep. Which Meryl Streep tells a great story in an interview because, of course, the day where she was acting backwards with a blue sack over her head, so you couldn't see it was her at all, was the one day her mother came to visit her on set. Oh. And she said it was the funniest trying to explain to her mother what was happening. So her mom was just like, why? They pay you all this money to just cover your head with a sack? What is going on? She was like, why do you have a bag on your head?
They're going to remove my whole head in post, Mom.
She was trying to tell him, she was like, Robert says it's all going to come together. It's going to be backwards. It's going to be great.
And yeah, that's also like, it's probably like 1990, 1991 when they're filming this.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there like, yeah, Robert says it's going to work. I mean, no one's ever had a backwards head.
No one's ever CGI'd skin. Hopefully the neck looks good.
Yeah.
But so they built a fully animatronic Meryl Streep face that was controlled. It was really cool. There's behind the scenes footage of this too. There was a guy who wore a head rig that covered his chin, and when he spoke, the mouth on the animatronic head moved like his jaw.
That's cool.
It was really cool. They hated how it looked on film.
Okay.
So that, I imagine, because they also had a full Meryl Streep doll they built, I imagine is all the overs. You're right, that's not CG, because it was really good, but like it is like a wax figure, like you can fucking tell.
It's great for the overs.
It's great for the overs and the body at the foot of the stairs and stuff like that. And I believe it's used briefly when her head is backwards with the shovel.
Okay.
They used that for some of those moments. But so they went full CG for when her head's backwards, though, instead of using the animatronic at all to put on it, which they were going to do digitally anyhow, but decided to do her face. So Meryl Streep said 3 weeks after they shot that scene, they took her to a soundstage, blue screen, strapped her to a chair. There's footage of this too I watched, and replicated the lighting so that she didn't have to think about moving correctly with the lighting. The chair was like on a platform that like rotated so that the lighting was hitting her right. And she said she watched a screen that had playback of the scene, and she acted along with the footage they'd recorded of her body for the face, and then they CG'd that onto the body.
So that is part of why I assumed her head was on a green screen.
Yeah.
Is because the lighting for the body fits better and fits pretty much perfectly
into the room
than the lighting on her face.
Yeah.
And the face to the body don't match. And that's why I assumed it was in a different spot.
Yes.
And I think they would have done a better job had she just acted it once forwards, once backwards.
Yeah.
And then done the single plates. And then you use the plate, you roto her backwards body, you roto her head.
Yeah.
And then you just fill the middle with CG.
Forwards and backwards performances would have had to have matched so well for that to be easy, though.
Yes.
She would have, like, the timing. You'd almost have to, like, make a recording and then act along to the recording forwards and backwards.
Yeah.
To time it out.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, then your lighting would have matched
and
perfectly.
even if it doesn't come out perfect, because you're cutting the head out anyway.
You're still rotoing it out anyhow.
Yeah, you're cutting the head out no matter what.
Yeah.
And then you just put the head on the body and you just track the head to the body.
True. But yes, that's how they did it.
Okay, cool. I'm a genius.
And then they CGI'd the neck.
Yeah. It's really well done.
Them. Yeah. It's
something
really
that really impressed me was her crumpled at the bottom of the stairs in the background and then slowly like popping back to life.
Yeah.
That was really impressive.
I have no trivia on that, but it looks great.
Yeah.
Because I know they had a doll.
Yeah, obviously. Because when she's like fully dead, that's a like rag doll.
And it looks like it was
prop.
The animatronic face, because I've seen footage of it.
Got it.
For moments, it looked like it. I don't think it was even her face.
No, it's definitely a life cast face
because
it has zero life to it.
Yeah.
Like, unlike a actor can ever do, it has no life.
Yeah.
Only like a fully done head prosthetic can be.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like that.
It's cool.
I love a good old dummy.
Yeah.
We had a fun shoot this weekend with a dummy.
We did.
And I can't wait for people to see it.
I know.
But
it was really cool.
I was covered in blood, and that's all I'll say. I'll give you more updates later.
It was very fun.
Yeah, you can see some great photos of me in my boxers covered in blood on my Instagram.
You can. That is a thing that exists.
Tell me some facts.
Okay, I'll tell
Hit
you
me with
more
the facts. Hit me with your best facts. Come on and hit me with your best facts.
One thing that
Are these your best
Meryl-
facts?
It's a fact.
Okay, well, I just said hit me with your best
This
facts.
was just a thing that Meryl Streep said that I thought was really cute and sweet, and also just like describes the whole filmmaking experience. I feel like
Oh, I love those
she
quotes.
said she was really worried that Bob, because that's what she calls Robert Zemeckis, is Bob.
That makes sense.
She was really worried that Bob wouldn't get the credit he deserved for the special effects in this film because they look so easy.
That's the perfect kind of effects.
Yeah, because like that's why they're good. But like I get what she's saying, because yeah, the perfect movie is just, it looks easy. But
I mean, yeah, I've been working on some effects for a video coming out soon. And I mean, they're nothing mind-blowing.
yeah.
They're nothing breathtaking, but they are a lot of work. And I was like showing them to my dad today, and I really was trying so hard to try to articulate like, this is all the work that went into making this look good.
This one frame. Yeah.
Even though they're super rudimentary effects, because I'm not an expert at that at all.
Sure.
But that is like the perfect effect, is you don't really...
It looks easy.
It looks easy.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. That's nice.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good fact.
Goldie Hawn was permanently physically scarred from this movie.
Fucking what?
When they were fighting with the shovels, it sounds like, I'm not certain, it sounds like one of the shovels flew off.
Oh my God.
And it cut her on the cheek. I was watching her in an interview. She was like, yeah, I was a real trooper about it. I was like, no, I'm good. We can keep going. And she was like, but I do have a scar now. She didn't seem particularly bothered by it. But yeah, she got a permanent cheek scar from that shovel fight.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Do you know or have any good facts about the de-aging and the aging effects done to these women?
I don't really.
Motherfucker.
This was kind of a semi-last minute decision to do this film, and I tried really hard not to let you down, and I don't know how much, if any of that was CGI versus just really good makeup. A lot of it seems to be...
It's okay. I have so many thoughts.
Okay, I will investigate for next episode for you, but...
Okay, because first thought
Yeah.
is I know how they did the backwards head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I saw this footage and I was like, this is how they can do that with the capabilities of right then.
Yeah.
I get it. The de-aging of them
Yeah.
is some of the best de-aging I think I've seen in film.
Yeah.
Like, it's better than Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
It's better than The Irishman. Therefore, it can't be CG.
I mean, I feel like I feel like it's makeup in taking them in both directions.
I think it has to be.
I really like looking at it, like...
I think there's a middle ground that they are.
Yeah.
That we maybe see, like, in the opening. Maybe.
And I feel like
not
they're
even.
aging them up and down
I agree.
from that middle ground with makeup
with
and hair. And just like you're talking about with Bruce Willis, like you can really make people see what you want them to see just with like how you style and dress.
And, like, obviously, no offense to these women, obviously the body is somewhat padded from original body.
I know how they do the boobs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about the boobs.
So the boobs, they went to all this work and they made a pneumatic
Yeah.
bra for her that did not work at all.
Okay.
So ultimately, just her dresser stood behind her and did it with her hands.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they
It's
just
just,
had
like,
her stand out
pushed
of
up?
sight and then just like whoop, just adjusted them. That's just placement.
That's hilarious.
That's just someone physically lifting her boobs.
I assumed it was something like her boobs were just pushed up and pushed up.
Yep.
But like, and the butt's kind of similar. It's
Yeah,
probably just a
it's
built
padding
butt.
and-
And then
yeah.
when you see her from behind, it's probably some padding.
Yeah.
And previous to that, it's like costuming that's not
Mhm.
accentuating
You
her
costume it
butt.
to look flat and then you pat it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like the de-aging of the hand, I think that when you see the two hands, I think it's two hands each
hands,
time. It's two
yeah.
different people with different hands.
Yeah, because you even like cut a
So I think that's how they do that. I think when the hand transforms from the old hand to the young hand is probably a match cut, maybe.
I mean, I know they used a lot, like so much computer controlled camera movements too, and like there was so much utilization of match shots and plates, and
so I think that could be a match cut.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it is, it's some of the best match cut I've ever seen.
Yeah,
with like the crossfade, maybe it's like a match cut with a crossfade, from one hand to the other hand,
or a little bit of CG to blend them into each other.
I don't think they had that kind of CG capabilities in '92, Lolo.
Okay, sorry.
I think you're overestimating what CG could do in '92. Like her neck was brilliant for '92.
I think just the neck was so good, and I don't know.
So I think like that, but like their faces.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it in the moments we watched it, because it was really well done. And I think part of why it looks so good is it is like so subtle.
Yes.
It's so subtle. It's not too much. And like they aren't ever adjusting them too far in either direction in age. It's just a really like...
Yeah.
That moment, I don't know how they did, but I feel like it's just, makeup.
I think a lot of it's makeup.
Yeah.
I think some of it is like a bit of a camera blur.
Just shooting them a little more old school glamour, and then...
Because, so, in the opening scene, which is 14 years before the movie starts, before the movie kicks off, Goldie Hawn's face looks strange.
It looks different.
Yes. And I don't know what it looks like a modern day face replace done mediocre. The edges are soft. The shadows are strange.
So for me looking at it, I was feeling like they just really created a bunch of different makeup looks for these women.
I think
to pull them through.
And I think that's like her makeup is so weird.
Yeah.
That to my brain, who's like been doing all this,
expecting a deep fake or
yeah, exactly. Like my brain at this point is so much makeup that I'm like, is that a deep fake? And you're like, well, it's 92, so no.
Yeah, I feel like it's just they wanted her transformation to the Goldie Hawn that's taken the potion to be so dynamic that they just like...
Yeah. It's also funny that the potioned Goldie Hawn looks older but sexier than the mousy Goldie Hawn at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that Goldie Hawn is like, she's like mousy and shy.
Yeah.
But then looks younger. But then potioned Goldie Hawn is older, but it's like just regular Goldie Hawn because she's just gorgeous.
Yeah. She is. That is true facts.
Got some more trivia you want to share?
So this is like not even trivia and just weird, and you can maybe cut it. I want to look into it more because it was so strange. So I was watching a lot of interviews with Zemeckis and Cundy and Streep and Goldie Hawn, and I was like, I want to find a Bruce Willis interview. Okay. Because I was just like trying to watch interviews with like all the main people in this, because that's a fun way to collect trivia that's more than just reading through IMDb. So I only found one Bruce Willis interview.
Okay.
On the internet, whereas I found multiple of like the women in Zemeckis and whatever. And he didn't want to talk about the movie.
Oh.
I watched a video clip of Bruce Willis saying how he just wanted to talk about how he believes the Babylonians invented pontoons. Okay. And he said it twice, and then he was talking about how it kept him awake the night before thinking about this, and people keep telling him otherwise, and he's wrong. But he just believes they did. And that was the only Bruce Willis interview I found from 92.
That is right on cue with Dan Aykroyd.
I know.
Which I watched that video. Sam isn't lying. It doesn't cut directly from him being like, aliens are mad at us because of 9/11 to buy my vodka. But he does say aliens are mad at us because of 9/11. And...
Later in the interview, he says...
I don't know. I didn't watch enough of the interview, but I do know that he does have a vodka line.
Oh, okay.
So, like, Sam wasn't too far off.
Okay, cool.
And now Bruce Willis believes the Babylonians invented
It was very strange. Yeah, and then they were like, do you want to talk about the movie? And he was like, I just talk about Babylonians and the pontoons. But then he like, talk about the movie, but like, not really. Like, and it was like a 2-minute clip. It was very strange.
I wonder if this movie was kind of one of those things that, like, it's Zemeckis, it's Meryl Streep, it's Goldie Hawn, and, like, Bruce Willis has had a pretty good career, but now he's starting to be pigeonholed as one thing, even though he used to be this comedic actor, and so he, like, wants to prove he can do that, and then this is the movie that it is, and he's like, oh, I don't really do much in that final movie, and then he, like, no longer likes it, and you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that kind of was what happened, and so then he was like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about that, I want to, like, be weird.
Yeah, that's possible, but that was the thing I watched.
Great.
So, like I said, not really trivia, just like that was a thing I watched, and if anybody was like, why isn't Lolo saying anything about how Bruce Willis feels about the movie? That's why. That's because that's the clip I found.
It's possible Babylonians invented pontoons. That's
yeah,
how he feels
even though
about the movie.
People keep telling him otherwise, but he really believes it.
Great. I hope that's the trivia you end us on. I really hope that's not the trivia you end us on.
So one other really cool effects shot that you like gasped when they did it was when Goldie Hawn sits down onto the shovel handle.
It's really well done.
Which is beautiful. So like
Well, because they've established it as a physical prop.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she sits on it, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
But it's so well done. It's really impressive.
It is. So from, if I'm understanding the trivia I read correctly, they intended it to be a bit more practical than it wound up being, because they did do like a lot of plates and controlled camera shots and stuff.
It's one of the few times that the hole in her stomach goes full black.
So she didn't sit down the way they expected her to in the shot they wound up wanting to use. So the effects team did wind up having to morph the image and fuck around with it and cheat it from what they wanted it to be. So it sounds like it was going to be plates with the practical thing, you know what I mean, more compositing than what it wound up being, which was they did have to like in post salvage that shot because of the way she sat down.
I mean, it looks...
They did a killer job still.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It looks to me pretty much like they did the shot of it sitting in the sofa.
Yeah.
And then they did the shot of Goldie Hawn without the thing there, and she sits into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they do is they cut out the handle, and they cut out Goldie Hawn's stomach, obviously.
Yeah.
And then as she sits, the handle becomes the cutout version of it.
Yep.
And part of her covers it. And then they also have to cut out like the back of Goldie Hawn so that the thing goes in front of it. It's a very annoying process. But like the only reason you can tell that's how they do it is if you look closely at the handle, there's like a light edge to it. And that's the mask edge. So that's how you know it's not a practical.
Yeah.
Is how the light wrap works around it.
Cool.
But
that's cool.
Yeah. And like I said, it's the only time her stomach goes full black.
Yeah, instead of like seeing through it to the sofa.
Because and because there's no reference for what that looks like, really.
Yeah.
Because like her body would be shadowing the sofa, but it wouldn't shadow it to full black. You'd see like...
Yeah.
And that's just too...
But it also sounds like
work.
the way she sat, they couldn't really use the plates they had because she sat wrong.
Yeah, so that's just... It's a lot of work, and I get why they didn't use it. But it's a very impressive shot, especially for 1982.
Yeah.
Because even for today, it's a pretty fucking well done.
I'd be pretty pleased if we pulled that off.
I'd be stoked.
Like we kind of mentioned before, Zemeckis has made 3 movies that won Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. The first one was Who Framed Roger Rabbit before this.
Which
obviously is also just like an incredible, just like out there choice. And then this, and then Forrest Gump in 94.
Yeah, I mean, those all make sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy that Back to the Future, I want to know what it might have lost to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look into it.
Okay,
Talk about it next episode.
We've talked about how obsessed he was with Tales from the Crypt, to the point that the trailer features the theme from Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, really?
The trailer for this movie.
That's funny. I
Yeah.
like that. Zemeckis is a weird dude. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it pretty much at that. I'm like...
Yes.
Like, if you watch all of his movies...
Yeah, if you're wondering what Patrick means, just watch through all his films and you'll be like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Not talented, but yeah.
Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be intrigued to sit down with them.
Yeah.
Zemeckis, if you're listening, I would love for you to come on this podcast. We'll show you a movie you've never seen before, and then we can just chat with you for a couple hours.
So this film has 3 Oscar winners in it. Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Sidney Pollack, who was the ER doctor in an uncredited cameo.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess like just him and Zemeckis are buddies, and he was just
I think maybe him and Meryl Streep, they were in Out of Africa together prior to this.
Okay.
And I don't know if he was just bumming around and was like, hey, but I don't have a lot of deals on that. But yeah, he came and did an uncredited cameo as the ER doctor who dies of a heart attack.
Oh, so he's the guy that...
He's the doctor that dies.
Okay.
I believe.
I thought... So I don't recognize Sidney Pollack, but... I thought you were meaning he was one of the doctors in the room operating on the heart attack guy.
Gotcha.
And I was like, that is such a bit role.
No.
But no. He actually had a role. That's
yes.
okay. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't recognize. I feel bad not recognizing him.
Don't
if I look
either. But
I'm not well versed enough to recognize his face.
The exterior.
Should watch more movies.
We should do that. We should do a podcast about it.
Oh my God, let's do it.
The exterior of Ernest and Madeline's mansion was a real house in LA, but the entire interior was a soundstage.
That makes sense.
They built the whole house like you do.
That's how movies make movies.
Kevin Kline was supposed to play Bruce Willis's role originally.
Ghostbusters, like all the exteriors are New York, every interior is LA.
That makes sense. So
Kevin Kline is the...
Kevin Kline.
Oh.
He had to drop out.
Oh, poor Kevin
And then
Kline.
evidently Jeff Bridges really wanted it.
I love Jeff Bridges.
And was turned down.
So
And they went with Bruce Willis.
That just reminded me of 2 movies we need to do.
Okay.
Because Kevin Kline's in one of your favorite movies, In and
He
Out.
is, yes.
And Jeff Bridges is in a movie that may be one of my favorite movies, The Fisher King.
Oh, yeah.
So just wanted to say that.
Just another little like Easter egg that's in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell can be seen giving an interview on a television in the waiting room of the hospital, which him and Goldie Hawn have been a couple for forever. So they just dropped him in.
Adorable.
Yeah, I just thought that was like cute and funny. This is like a super deep. He put a lot of little like jokes for himself in the movie, including like the moment where she's planning Meryl Streep's death and you see the case closed stamped. There's a brain sitting on the desk that says abnormal on it.
I actually noticed that.
Yeah, it's pretty prominent. I figured you probably had.
I caught that and was like, what a weird nod to Young Frankenstein.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But,
you know.
Good on you, man. If that makes someone laugh, that's the goal.
Helen also states that she drank the potion on October 26th, 1985. That is the day Marty McFly went back to 1955.
Oh my God. Zemeckis has always been weird. And I like that about him, is that his weirdness is on brand.
Yeah.
And consistent.
Yeah. So there is a photo at Bruce Willis's funeral of him like old, like hiking a mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
That is his face in old age makeup from the original ending of the movie.
Got it.
But it seems like you can't see the ending. I was like, there's footage, but doesn't seem to be accessible.
Okay, Universal Pictures. That's who made this movie.
I want to see the original cut.
Yes. We also need from, I think it was Paramount, that King Creole cut that has both pieces.
Both songs. Yes. Give it to me.
These are the extended cuts that the people need. The 4K remasters that should be done.
So, a thing that...
This is film history. These need to be archived. Scorsese, get on it. He does a lot of film archiving and saving of films, if you're curious.
Gotcha. So, a thing that I just thought was funny was somebody in the trivia on IMDb listed the body count of this movie.
They do that on IMDb all the time.
Even
That's
though
a very popular IMDb thing.
they counted it as Madeline dying 4 times and Helen dying twice. So it's a body count of 6 for anyone keeping track.
Doctor. I assume the doctor dies too.
Oh, yeah.
That guy sucks at counting dead bodies.
You're right.
That's a really funny thing that anytime you look at IMDb trivia of a movie that has like a good amount of deaths,
Yeah.
somebody's always like body count 36. And I'm like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, that's a really strange thing I don't care about.
It's on most IMDb trivias for action movies
Oh, okay.
and horror films.
Interesting.
It's almost always there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a thing we couldn't possibly have noticed on this low quality DVD pan and scan of the movie
Okay.
is that Helen has that little brooch on starting all the way at the book signing, obviously.
That makes sense.
She's wearing it prominently on the strap since starting when you see her back as gorgeous her.
That makes sense.
Which is like cool.
Foreshadowing. That's the ghost of foreshadowing.
I like it.
I think whenever in this podcast we discuss foreshadowing, he should come back.
So there was a thing you reacted to strongly in the film that I don't know if this will be
most of the
interesting. So if it's not, you can cut this out. I don't know. It was the nuns in the hospital.
Yes! Fucking yes! What the fuck was that shot?
So, yeah. There's a scene that was cut. I don't know why they shot the scene. I know why it was cut. I don't know why they shot it. So originally, when Ernest enters the hospital's morgue in search of Madeline, a drawer containing the body of a priest suddenly runs out. And there are 3 nuns who were briefly seen in the theatrical cut who were there to view and identify the priest's body. I don't know why. That's why there are crying nuns in the morgue. And I don't know why they're gliding. But that was a whole deleted scene that was removed.
Okay, so hold on. The deleted scene was before he gets to the ER. So she's dead, and she notices that her neck is like coming out of her shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's get you to the doctor. Then they cut to a scene where a priest comes out of a morgue drawer.
I just read you all the information I have.
Yeah, but I didn't understand what you said.
Oh, okay. So...
Say it clearer.
Well, no, it's confusing because I'm reading you verbatim what I found on the internet.
Okay, say it again then.
Originally, well, because it says when Ernest enters the hospital's morgue, which doesn't make sense because then he's walking down the hall, but like it doesn't make sense what I read you.
Okay.
But at some point, a drawer containing the body of a priest suddenly rolls out in the morgue. It sounds like while Ernest is in there.
Got it.
The 3 nuns who were briefly seen in what we watched were there to view and identify the priest's body, which explains why they're there and crying and gliding away. That doesn't make sense the way it's written. That's all the information I have.
I'm glad you clarified because now I understand what you said.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't make sense.
With what we saw.
Correct.
Yes, and I don't know why they're gliding.
Yeah, that shot is wacky.
So
just like the rest of the movie. It's consistent. Just like Robert Zemeckis' weirdness.
What I found even better than that knowledge of the nuns was the way fans of the movie have theorized about the nuns, especially prior to like deleted scene knowledge coming out. You know what I mean? Because like when it screened, they didn't know that there were all these deleted scenes. Like some of them you can watch online now, but like
you don't know that when you see a movie in theaters.
Yeah. Fans have theorized that the crying floating nuns shown in the film symbolized that Madeline has damned herself to a fate worse than death.
We're putting a lot on this movie, guys.
And that her soul is forever trapped in her decaying body and she'll never be able to properly pass on. It was even speculated that the nuns had possibly heard Madeline's screams in the morgue and were so shaken that they promptly left and cried.
While floating.
Yes.
So let's talk about that shot. So that shot is strange in composition.
Yes.
And nuns fly across the screen.
Yes.
Literally are like trolleyed across the screen.
Yes.
Which makes me assume they're on some sort of platform that rolls, that's either pulled or propelled, and they're either painting out the thing propelling them, or it's motorized underneath them and they're standing on a motorized platform that moves them. So they built something for that. And that means all of this work went into making nuns fly across a hallway.
Yes. For a deleted scene that was not related to the film that, yeah.
No. Because the nuns flying across the hallway did make it into the movie.
Okay, yeah, but I'm saying they were there because of a scene that didn't affect the film.
Yeah. But that shot still,
Yeah.
like if we're not talking about the deleted scene, we're just talking about that shot.
Yeah.
So the shot is, I've got to have Bruce Willis walk down this hallway. And it's going to be this Dutch crazy angle through a hallway in a way that's going to make you feel so disconcerted.
It's a really cool shot in that sense. You're very uncomfortable.
And then we got to have these nuns come through it. But they can't just walk through it like nuns would. They've got to glide through it on nun skateboards.
I mean, we've already established in this film that physics don't exist. Because, like, you don't fall downstairs till you're pushed. It's very Roadrunner-esque in its logic.
It really is. Because you can be balanced on the edge of a step without touching it for almost a minute. And you can, like, grasp and hope someone will catch you.
Yep.
And then if you're touched, you'll just, like, topple like a cartoon.
It's very Roadrunner.
It's very stylized.
He achieved a very cartoony feel in a live action in those moments.
Yes.
It's very strange.
Yeah, you're just right. And then, so just talking like cartoony movies, like I guess the next progression is the movie The Mask, which you've probably never seen.
I have not.
I've also not seen The Mask because I wasn't allowed to watch The Mask as a kid.
Oh.
Because Jim Carrey wasn't allowed in my household.
Whoa. Okay.
He was inappropriate.
Oh.
He was disgusting. We hate Jim Carrey.
Oh.
I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he's great.
He's genius. But The Mask is kind of like this weird cartoony character. And they do some really cool effects in that movie that lend and show like all these like how he's a cartoon even though he's in real life, doing these really weird like warps and like blends in motion blur in ways that only a cartoon motion blurs, not in a way that like movies motion blur.
That's cool.
Just that character does it. It's weird, it's wacky, and it's cool because he also defies physics in cartoon ways. And so like I wonder if they like had any pull from Death Becomes Her, or if Death Becomes Her like didn't matter enough, but like they do in this movie kind of start playing with that idea of like cartoon physics.
This movie in a lot of ways doesn't matter because nobody's
He's held up by his suspenders and they shoot up into the air. I
would assume to the people doing the special effects for The Mask, this movie matters a lot because it's an Academy Award winning special effects movie that pioneered new technology. So I'm sure the special effects team, if nobody else, knew exactly what was what.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess there's every movie influences other movies.
Yeah.
Maybe this one did The Mask.
Well, this one I know they talk about a lot in a lot of the trivia I read, and both Zemeckis and Cundy talked about how much this film, not stylistically or anything, but how much this film directly led to Jurassic Park being possible. Yeah. The way it was made in its visuals, like this directly led into them being able to make that movie look as good as it did.
And Jurassic Park is a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, but even like the way they plated practicals and CGI, and that they started dropping the faces over the stunt people, like it was a huge after that, like it was face replace. It looked as good as it did because they made this movie. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing it to me.
Yeah, it was fun. It was weird. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I like kind of remembered it. So those wacky fun evenings.
It was crazy.
It was.
And I'm glad that our schedule got thrown out of whack so we could watch something whack.
Me too.
We will have Scream coming to you soon.
We will.
As our culmination of the Halloween spoopiness.
Yes.
We will actually still be getting that guest eventually to do the episode we wanted to. It just won't be part of our Spoopy October lineup, but it will be part of our regular lineup.
I'm so excited
and
for
we're
that.
so excited to have that guest. And we're so excited to do that episode.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, all those things that help you make sure you don't miss these next episodes that are going to be so incredible. And they help other people find these episodes, which helps us make you more episodes and all of that. So do all that. Like, subscribe, review, rate.
Good for all of us.
Tell your friends how cool listening to this podcast is and all the fun information you've got.
Yeah, and go watch movies.
Go watch some movies. And if you really love us, go to patreon.com/IXFilmProductions or go to our website and find it through there. There's a little link. There's a lot of ways to find it. Linktree on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's easy. Linktree on our Twitter. We don't use Twitter, but we've got it.
Yeah. You're so good at remembering to say all the things.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I'm so glad to have sat here and talked with you. I love you.
I love you.
I love our audience.
Oh, so much.
And sexual, sexy, sex.
Sex.
Flaccid.
Flaccid.
Flaccid.